Take what's being reported in the dailies. This is Hope at Dawn, and the Standard. Well, before I go to the papers this morning, I'm joined on set by none other than Mr. Maingi Mbogwa. He's one of the sub-editors right here at Hope Media, and he's helping us with the newspaper review this morning. But right about now, checking what's being reported in the Standard. Fare thee well. Kelvin Kiptum, though only 24, has etched his name as one of the greatest athletes in the world, whose record in the marathon is the envy of legends. As the country bids farewell to its hero today, Kenyans can only hope another like him will emerge. And it's a story you can read there. So Samson Cheruiyot, the father to Kelvin Kiptum, holds Kelvin's son Keegan Kiptum as they view his body at Iten in Elgeyo Marakwet County, and that was yesterday. It's a story you can read on pages 2, 3, and 31 as well. Family's dreams crashed in road crash that took life of a world champion. Being an only child, Kiptum carried the lofty dreams of his parents. Athlete died just as his star was starting to shine. It's a sad story there. Kwaheri Shujaa, and yes, indeed, we bid farewell to these Shujaa. On the front page still of the Standard, brace for more taxes, Azimio warns. So Azimio principals say the 2024 budget policy statement is only meant to prolong the suffering of Kenyans and would amount to double taxation. They, however, ruled out resumption of street protests. It's a story you can read on page 4, and they are highlighting some of the taxes that they say could be introduced in next year's budget. So let's see how that one pans out. Still another one which has really been on the news in the latest, in the last few days, showdown looms as government plots to clip artists' societies. The Kenya Copyright Board has hinted at government's intentions to take charge of payment of royalties for artists. Now, these will be effected through a government-led collective management organization and channeling or royalties paid through the eCitizen portal. Now, in an announcement that could have far-reaching repercussions on how artists manage their affairs, Kekobo, the governing board mandated to enforce copyright and related rights, has said it has been tasked to consider repealing and also replacing the Copyright Act. Read that on page 4. Then I see, as we go to the other pages, police arrest wife of Asian trader as murder investigation goes on. The businessman left home on Valentine's Day and was never seen alive again. 5 suspects are in police custody over the murder of Jayesh Kanji. So the wife is one of those being detained. Deputy Governor ready to fight off impeachment bid. That is in Kisii County. You can see that in details. Audit lays bare anomalies in the G2G oil importation agreement. The deal was meant to mitigate against the declining value of the Kenyan currency. Auditor General says purchase of petroleum was not provided for audit review. I also see auditor queries 140 million spent by state in tree planting. So the government, through the State Department for Environment and Climate Change, spent over 140 million shillings on the national tree planting campaign. But according to the Auditor General, Nancy Gathongo, she questions the expenditure, noting it was unsupported. Kuna nini? You get to read that and much more in the daily, in the Standard. The business section, retail insurance singled out for topping suppliers list of shame. 2 sectors are on the radar due to abuse of buyer power. CAK says its interventions have saved consumers over 8.4 billion shillings. ICA Lion in new brand campaign. Financial services firm ICA Lion Group has unveiled a new brand campaign. The What's Your Plan campaign, the firm says, underscores its dedication to expanding its market share through innovation. Read that in the business section of the Standard. I also go to the back page of the Standard, which is the sports page. Arteta insists Arsenal will learn from defeat. Porto stand Gunners Spurs with stoppage time winner in Champions League tie. Arsenal manager says it was a kick in the teeth as his side struggle in Portugal. Then also I see Osimhen scores on return in Barcelona draw. Victor Osimhen salvaging a draw for Napoli in his first club appearance since December as they held Barca in their Champions League last 16 first leg. Robert Lewandowski had scored the opener for Barca. Dani Alves is guilty of nightclub rape. A court in Spain has found former Barca and Brazil footballer Dani Alves guilty of raping a woman in a Barcelona nightclub. He has been sentenced to 4.5 years in prison, and the 40-year-old, who is one of the most decorated footballers in history, had denied sexually assaulting the woman in the early hours of 31st December 2021, and his lawyer had asked for his acquittal and said she would appeal against the verdict. I see Will Ambitious Legirma finally make the cut in his third attempt. It's the Railways golfer is looking for another feather in his cap at Magical Kenya Open. Sachania ready to drive off to Safari Rally Glory next month. Countdown begins earnest for rally driver Nikhil. The driver serves as beacon of inspiration for many aces. You can read that inspiring story on page 29 inside the sports page of The Standard. Right.
To the Daily Nation, and of course the biggest headline is storm over new taxes. This is the call from the opposition, Azimio la Umoja, One Kenya Coalition, lobbying the Senate to reject the bill to charge the housing levy. Remember, the housing levy has actually sailed through on 2 stages. That is the second reading and the third reading. And now, officially, the ball is on the court of the Senate as we await to see what pans out far as this contentious bill is concerned. However, paining points is a triple of oil regulatory levy that is set to raise in the next financial year, as withholding tax on the payment for the goods and supplies to the government also increases. There's also bound to be a 5% withholding tax on farmer produce supplied to cooperatives as license fees are reviewed for banks, including 1 billion shillings minimum capitals. Now, the opposition has vowed to block what it has termed as a second wave of punitive tax that will further burden Kenyans and shrink household income, even as the government, through the budget policy statement, defended the aggressive measures to boost the revenue collection to 4 trillion shillings amidst increased debt repayment. And that is coming at a time on the back page of the Daily Nation. Taxman misses a revenue collection target by 195 billion shillings. That is, the Kenya Revenue Authority has missed its revenue collection target of 195.4 billion shillings in the first 7 months of the current financial year, with big questions coming out of that. And of course, the other headline that is one to ponder on is the graduates from private university denied papers, and Barrington Gesema was overjoyed when he graduated with a Bachelor's of Science in Applied Computer Science degree at Daystar University. However, his pursuit for a job has been unsuccessful. This is because the government and various universities have denied to release the certificates following the non-payment of funds that were meant to be done by the government. Fare thee well, champion. Kenya and the world will today be bidding goodbye to record-breaking world marathon record holder Kevin Kiptum during the funeral service at the ASK ground at Chepkoroi in Elgeyo Marakwet. This as the country bids farewell to the 24-year-old runner who was on the cups of greatness before his death. You can read that on page 2, page 3, page 34, and page 35 of the Daily Nation. Ruto to lobby for Raila AU job bid. Now, Foreign Affairs Principal Secretary Dr. Korir Song'oei has announced that the president will soon formally name Raila as Kenya's candidate for the African Union Commission chairperson post. You can read that on page 8 of the Daily Nation. Of course, page 2, page 3 is all about Kevin Kiptum, as yesterday athletes and lovers of the game paid tribute to Kenya's great. 15 years later, the big question is who is going to fill the shoes? The same question that many asked when one Samuel Wanjiru the late passed on. And little did we think that would have big names, the likes of Eliud Kipchoge rising to put the country's mark, the likes of the late now Kevin Kiptum. And therefore, we can only hope and pray that Kenya is going to find not just another, but the best in the game. However, the biggest of them all is to pray for fortitude to the father, because this was his only son and child. And of course, by extension, the family, the wife and their 2 children in a very, very tough season. We are not bundled over 450 billion shillings, the governor says. Council of Governors maintain that money should flow the functions, rather follow the functions that has already been devolved. Governors are at loggerheads once again with the national government, claiming that the National Treasury is out to sabotage devolution by decreasing the allocation of the money that is meant for the devolved units. And on the sports end, it has to be Arsenal. If it's not Arsenal, it's Arsenal.
The Gunners.
The Gunners. On a good, impressive run, unfortunately, they have now found themselves in an unfamiliar territory. This is because in their quest for the Champions League, UEFA Champions League, they are somewhere that one would hope not to be. Remember, last weekend they scored 5-0, the previous weekend 6-0. That is 11 goals. But then UEFA Champions League is not a table of the boys, but for the men. We wait to see what pans out of that.
Right.
Yes.
Looking at the Business Daily, World Bank, IMF charging Kenya 14.5% interest. That's according to COB. Budget boss claims lenders load hidden service charges. Debt chief dismisses claims, says COB got figures wrong. Read that inside the Business Daily. Varsity graduates caught up in 31 billion shillings pending bills nightmare. I also see radio audience drops on digital media growth. So radio listenership in Kenya has taken a hit courtesy of accelerated digitization of media consumption, dropping from an audience base of 92% of the country's population in 2014 to 77% as of last year. You can read that on page 4 inside the Business Daily. I also see this is the live pullout. Jeffrey Odundo, the fat lady, has sung and Jeffrey Odundo's bags at the door of the Nairobi Securities Exchange. It has been 9 years as the chief executive officer of NSE and 29 years as an investment banker. 23 of those years in the capital markets. It is hard to tell if he looks relaxed and buoyant because he is living or if this is his default. Man, that is the story you can read on page 19. Inside the Business Daily. Thank you, Joseph, for the same.
You're most welcome.
But I hear there's a final coming weekend.
Yeah, there's a final of a trophy that many want to talk ill about, and especially when you're not playing it.
Yeah,
This
I
has
know.
To be the EFL
but now
Cup.
when you were in the final and you win it, it's a trophy. Yeah. So what are you saying as one
And
team
of course, Wembley will
who
be
is
waiting.
in the final?
Well, Wembley will be waiting to see 2 of arguably biggest clubs in the English football coming head to head.
Biggest club.
Argue it, ask it. Liverpool with an impressive run in the UEFA Champions League. Chelsea with an impressive run in the UEFA Champions League history will be up against each other at the Wembley. Why are you raising your hands?
Listen, what's Chelsea?
I don't know why you people get to be worked up when Chelsea's in the final.
Anyway, tell us more.
Arsenal competed in this trophy. Manchester City competed in this trophy. Manchester United, a team that I wish not to mention anytime I'm here.
Defending champions.
Of what?
Of that trophy.
And what are they doing over the same? Nothing. So Wembley will be welcoming the biggest clash over the weekend on Sunday. We wait to see what happens because Liverpool have been having a good run.
Yes, yes.
And currently 4 points adrift at the top of the English Premier
They're
League.
the top, right?
Yes, they are. With a game, of course, Manchester City and Arsenal have a game in hand.
Yeah.
But Chelsea, with mixed fortune, 1 minute they're playing nice, the next minute you don't know what really comes out of them, will be up in arms to try and see whether they can secure something that can cement the stay of one and only Mauricio Pochettino.
Yeah, but also they are facing a Liverpool side that, as you said, they have been on a good run. Then number 2, the announcement by Jurgen Klopp that he'll be leaving in the summer. So that means that they will be very serious in as far as any trophy that is ahead of them.
You want
so
to say
that
they can even play the Sakaja
Yeah,
Cup?
I tell you, so that at least they see him off with some silverware. So it will be a tough one, but how do you reckon your team will play, the Blues?
Well, having watched them play Manchester City last weekend in that 1-1 draw, it's a case of how best they turn up. Again, for Liverpool, they've been mettled by so many injuries.
Yeah.
You are hoping that one of them is going to rise to the occasion. But it will be a good game.
Yeah.
I can promise you that. It will be a good game.
Yeah.
Because much as you don't want to admit, two good teams when
Yeah.
it comes to good football. And of course, talking about football,
We're talking
we
of
go straight to Real Madrid.
Yeah.
This is because Toni
Yeah.
Kroos,
Yeah.
34 years, is now back in the international action. He's come from retirement and will be doing business, or he's open to
Yeah.
selection by Jürgen Nagelsmann
Yeah.
for the German team for the Euro later on in June this year.
All right.
So we wait to see what also happens for him.
There's a big match also happening tomorrow in the EPL.
Okay, for
Arsenal versus Newcastle United.
Yes.
Yeah, and you see now Arsenal, in as far as the EPL run, they have been on a good run. Give them credit where it's due. And especially
Big time.
they are scoring so many goals in the EPL. Newcastle United, they haven't been the same.
They were good at one point.
Up
You thought
until
would
they
be-
got the injuries.
Yes.
And now they are really struggling because at some point we thought they would be fighting for the top four. But now they are languishing in mid-table. So how do you see this one panning out tomorrow at the Emirates? Especially considering Arsenal, they will be smarting from that 1-0 defeat
You know, I've loved
by
what
Porto.
the Standard has written today,
Yeah.
that it was a punch on the teeth. So I'm hoping that that punch will really serve best for Bukayo Saka
Yeah.
and the likes of Andre Trossens, and Rentrod Trossens, and the likes of Ben White, who has also been a very good defender. Again, for Ed Howe, you will expect him to try and cement his stay. Remember, he's played in the UEFA Champions League. They didn't go far. But that aside, they want to remain as part of the contenders of big football when it comes to England football. Yes.
Yeah, and you know also they are smarting from the fact that the biggest club in world football came knocking on their doors and snatched their sporting director. Talking of Manchester United,
You don't have to use all
getting,
the gas to actually
getting,
say it right.
getting Dan Ashworth.
Manchester United is gambling on everyone.
Getting-
If they even think that Prince Charles can help them do camera work and they become best, trust me, they'll come for him.
We have gotten we have gotten their sporting director Dan Ashworth. So watch this
How
space.
best?
Watch this space.
You know, the other day, your new owner, more or less part of the owners,
Yeah.
Sir Jim Ratcliffe, really talked ill about Liverpool and Chelsea. And he said they're not teams to talk about. They're not something close to what Manchester United is. And you can't help but wait to see how silent he can get when the rubber meets the road. However, hopeful, he's spoken about one Greenwood, and he said that he's still part of Manchester United.
Agree.
And they are hoping that justice will be served, and he hopes to see this matter rested once and for all. He's still at Getafe doing good football.
By the way, he's doing well. He's doing good. He's doing good down there in Spain. Thank you so
Amazing.
much.
Karibu.
How can we watch or listen to news?
Definitely, you can catch up every other update hourly on our platforms. That is at Hope FM every hour for real-time updates from 7 in the morning to 7 in the evening. You can also follow us on our social media platforms on X, on Facebook, on Instagram at Hope FM Live. While there, real-time updates will be coming. And also remember that tonight we're having a big event. This is because the Hope FM on-air Kesha is happening. We want to invite you to a moment of listening and praying with us as we pray over various issues, as we thank God, as we stand in the gap to call on the name of the Lord for the various issues that the society and the body of Christ has been called forth. So it's the Hope FM on-air Kesha happening tonight from 10 on the PM. Show up and you'll be live and we'll be praying with you. We'll be thanking God with you. And the best you can do is tune in and God bless you.
All right. Thank you. That was Maingi Mbogwa helping us with the newspaper review. And this is Hope at Dawn, and it's the Beyond the Melody segment. And in the next hour, definitely, we are having a guest. And our guest this morning is Hilary Emmanuel. He's a gospel artist, and he will be sharing with us about his life and also about propagating the gospel, being used of the Lord in ministering to people. So stick around for that. That is when we come back in a few minutes. Just about now, it's time for the video of the day.